the Eves out of a place called Norte, which is on the Togo-Benin side. They were, it's a long story, but they had a king, a Kole at the time, who was very vicious at the time. So he was able to bring people out of there. Now, all of the people who live in Volta region here and Volta region and Togo, not all of them, but most of them the southern ones trace their lineage like through his exodus, right?
Yeah, can you pronounce his name again?
Togbe Sri. Eve. So what I was trying to do here is give some representation of the major groups in Ghana. But this is Eve. This is, and now some of the others are Eve too, like I mentioned Ephraim Mamu, so you'll see some other Ashantis. This was King Takituia, probably the most famous God king right around the turn of last century. He's got, if you go in Accra there, you see there's a big statue of him too, but he's the one that a lot of the God-speaking people around will say, you know, he was one of the ones I should have on the wall. The other guy was Ajete, who I talked to you earlier about, who was, you know, part of the Accra riots, or caused the Accra riots when they didn't get paid by the British. Some of you know Menes, and this is also very important. So the youngsters see, this is what the first pharaohs of the first dynasty look like. And I tell them, I even show them the picture of the statue to let them know, this is just my imagination. This is just the statue. And this is how he is, how it looks right there. And so it's hard for them to imagine because they watch all these Charlton Heston movies, you know, and then they see this and they get, you know, but the younger you can get them, the more they understand it. Okay, Cabral. The reason these are big, by the way, the four big ones on the outside are those four main Ghanaian, you know, from four. There's more than four groups in Ghana, of course, but I'd say the four most populous groups. And then the four in the middle are just my kind of favorites. Well, I got Garvey and Co. on the front. But, you know, these are just people I think are just extra impactful. That's why they're a little bigger than some of the others you've been seeing. Cabral, of course, is a brilliant philosopher, warrior out of Guinea-Bissau. His ability to rally his people on a cultural basis, on a realistic, pragmatic basis, was what really allowed them to knock the Portuguese out. And when they beat the Portuguese, they basically had to withdraw from Angola and Mozambique too. They didn't collapse the Portuguese government. That's when the Portuguese had a revolution, because they said we can't fight these people and feed ourselves too. So his brilliance was really instrumental in freeing all of Portuguese colonies in Africa. And so that plus his writings, Return to the Source, Unity and Struggle, all the rest, brilliant, brilliant philosopher, warrior. Imhotep, I think a lot of you have heard of Imhotep from ancient Kemet. One thing that I always impress upon the youngsters is if you go to medical school anywhere pretty much in the world and you do your Hippocratic Oath and you talk about Asclepius, which was just basically Imhotep, you know how the Greeks always put their names on things. So to allow black children to understand that if you're wondering whether or not you can be a doctor, this is the first doctor. Right here, before all of the rest of them. This is the father of medicine. So that's interesting for them. And then I tell them about the building of the step pyramids and astronomy and poetry and all the other things. The world's first known multi-genius. Toussaint Louverture, Haitian Revolution. I think a lot of people here know that. My man here is from Haiti, but we always have to pay homage to Toussaint, because if you think of the enormity of that victory, yes. You know, I mean, we're talking Napoleon's army, we're talking the British, all of these people. That was the money tree. That was the money tree for France. I mean, that was the richest colony in the world at the time. And for everybody wanted it. For him to be able to organize his people, Africans, to stop that. And of course, you know, he was betrayed and he left and Dessalines and Co. took over. But still, they were able to do what no one else has done to date. And my man, that's why I tell people, I wish we could get that Haitian spirit. When they had the earthquake, I was saying, please send them to Africa and help us clean things up, you know. That fighting spirit that we have with the Haitians. This is Nagbewa. Nagbewa is one of the main fathers of the northerners, Mamprusi, the Gombas, the Mosi up in Burkina Faso. But he's the father of a lot of the big northern groups. My wife is is a northerner. She's a Frafra. So, you know, all of them come through his line. He's buried in Pusaga up near Baku. I've been up there to visit the grave, so he's probably the most impactful northerner in
So I have a question.
in Ghana and Burkina Faso.
So it looks like in Ghana, all the different sects are living together very harmoniously, including across religious lines. Was that Kwame's doing, or it was something that was happening before?
Well, you know, I think you know, Africans have always lived together. Okay, we've always learned how to, you know, just like any other groups, we fight back and forth. But I wouldn't say that we're more harmonious now than say in the past.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you're stuck inside of this enclosure called Ghana or Togo or whatever. So, you know, you have to manage one way or another. But it's not very conducive to.
We've got some places
power.
where they're killing each other along sect lines, or they've killed each other along sect lines.
Yeah, we have that.
Okay.
You know, and there's actually still some of that going on in Ghana. There's places in the north and every now and then they'll kill this one, and the people, the Kusasis and the Mamprusis are fighting, and Baku, you know, killing back. So this goes on, you know. It's like the Basque are killing people in other parts of Spain, you know. It's nothing African about it. Osei Tutu, now it's hard to do Osei Tutu without doing Comfort Noche too, but the first Asante-Hini, and I don't know if you all, if you go to Kumasi, you get more about the Asante Empire, you know, the golden stool, descending Comfort Noche, and all of the things that it represents. But Osei Tutu, first Asante-Hini. In fact, the current Asante-Hini, I think, is also Osei Tutu the second or something. You know, they take these names and repeat.